7:36. We've got Ted and Dennis here from Arkansas Game and Fish. You've got the notes over there. What are we talking about today?
I have some notes. Well, we're talking about controlled burns and the importance of burns within the area because of the animals that are out there in the forest. And it's not, we talked about Smokey the Bear being such a successful advertising campaign that nobody burnt anything. And I think that this, through the Carter years, that forestry changed in the way they look at things. And I think maybe they've seen some of the error in their ways, and that's what's causing some of these massive forest fires because they're not burning out the undergrowth.
Yeah, we're trying to have basically some public meetings, to kind of just get, a lot of the public awareness out there about, the benefits of prescribed fire for, wildlife and forestry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we're going to try to have on March the 19th, a landowner workshop to, help educate the public about that.
In ways to help them better burn their property and not everybody else's.
Right.
Which is always a concern. And what all are you going to cover with this?
Basically this workshop, it's a kind of a multi-agency approach. We have the U.S. Forest Service. We have a speaker come from the U.S. Forest Service, and we have the Forestry Commission. We even have a private forestry consultant that is going to talk about. He's actually a person that a landowner could actually hire to burn on their own property. I mean, he has his own insurance, and he's in the business of doing it for private landowners. So he's going to also speak that night.
So this is bigger, obviously, than breaking up your leaves and getting that stuff done. It's getting that underbrush and
right. This is, we're not talking about burning it, burning your yard, that type of stuff. We're talking, your average burn is minimum 40 acres. You can burn up to 1,000 acres. When we talk about Forest Service, they're burning. They may burn a 2,000 acre burn in one day. So I mean, you're talking that type of landscape.
Sometimes we go down Highway 1427 to Marshall, and we'll get caught around the Buffalo River during the burn. Is that Game and Fish, or is that Forestry?
That's Park Service.
That's Park Service.
Yeah, the U.S. Park Service, they do a lot of burning. Matter of fact, you'll see every year they'll burn the lower wilderness off, and they'll make announcements where they're doing prescribed fire, and that's generally when we get a lot of smoke here in Mountain Home.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why we've timed this workshop, because hopefully by the 19th, it'll be good burn weather, and it'll kind of be on people's minds and that kind of stuff. So,
of course, Ted, we're talking about prescribed burns, right? And a lot of times you hear on the press or you see the news about the wildfires in the Rocky Mountains and things like that. And so some folks may have a perception that what we're talking about is controlling wildfires. This has nothing to do with that. I want to talk a little about the difference between a wildfire and a prescribed burn.
Right. There's a big difference between a wildfire and a prescribed fire. A wildfire is basically a fire that started either through Mother Nature or even through carelessness of, us humans. But, prescribed fire is a burn that you specifically start, and, you have all the time in the world to make that decision to whether to either light it or not. And you've checked the weather, you've made all your contacts, you called the Forestry Commission, notified all the neighbors, you've got good control lines all around that particular area, and so it's more like prescribed fire is more like making a battle plan going to war. I mean, you basically have to have all these things checked off before you light the match. And we've had burns where we had 30 people sitting there, all suited up, all kinds of ATVs, everything, and we send them all home. If the conditions are not right, you send them home. And so that's the major difference is that
So if the dump go ahead.
I was going to say, and we're not talking about burning everything to the ground. We're not laying waste, to hundreds of acres. The idea is to get some of this undergrowth out of there.
A leaf litter, basically. Right. Yeah, you're burning. Most burns are done kind of from January 1 to about mid-March. Sometimes it can go into April depending on what Mother Nature does. But that time of year, trees are dormant, meaning that they're not leafed out, they're not budded out, and that's the time when you're going to do the least amount of damage to timber. and basically you're just burning up the undergrowth, like you said. You're just burning it up, and you're kind of just resetting Mother Nature back. So,
and clear some of that out so that you're going to get stronger, bigger, stronger trees.
correct.
Better, stronger plant life that's going to come out, and give Bambi and Thumper and all the rest of them better habitat coming into the spring
Right.
to do their thing as well.
Well, and it also gets the sunlight down into the forest floor,
yeah.
and it by taking out all that what we'd call sucker type plants, they're not drawing out that nutrient from the ground. It's going to the bigger
Right.
trees. But
You know,
what are some of the other benefits? Ted?
I personally have witnessed after we do a prescribed fire that deer are right back in there within hours. I mean, logs are still smoldering, and they're in there. Turkeys, all that kind of stuff. They're in there scratching around, basically because all those acorns, all those seeds are exposed, and it's kind of like before they were fighting through the leaves, scratching. Now it's just laid out right there in front of them.
Hot dinner.
Yeah.
There you go.
Roasted chestnuts.
There you go. That's right.
Explain something to me. This is the dumbest question you'll be asked all day long. When I do a lot of traveling east of here, I go to Nashville, I go through the Kennett, Missouri area, and it's real flat. They burn those fields of, that's a lot of cotton in that
Right.
part. And they burn that off. Is that good to the soil over in that part of the country for them to
Right.
burn and retill or replow?
That's more probably what we'd consider a site prep burn. And what I mean by that is you're prepping the site, you're prepping the ground
Yeah.
to, to get it ready to plant. And so in that part of the world, yes, that's probably why they do that, is because it's the most efficient, way to basically restart Mother Nature and put all those nutrients back into the ground. But
Now, when you guys do these burns that we're talking about, these controlled burns, how long does it take that forest to get? Is it 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? For it to show the effects, the benefits of
Right.
of what you
and
guys
maybe
do?
how often would you do it? Basically?
Well, yeah.
Right. Well, about a 3-year rotation, about every 3 years is what we like to probably see. As far as how fast, things will respond, I mean, you'll get some very initial responses, like I said, very right away. But I guess a lot of it depends on how thick the woods is. If you burn a really, really thick standing timber, you still have a problem with the sunlight. You're not getting the sunlight to the ground, and so that may be a case where we talk to people about coming in and thinning out some timber, and then come back and do a burn, and that way you have that sunlight hitting the ground. So,
And that's the important part. And that's really one of the main reasons to do this.
right. And like I said, basically there's a right and a wrong way to do anything, and there's professionals out there to help you. There's also cost share available that will help pay landowners, help offset the cost to hire somebody to do it. We're not saying that a landowner has to feel comfortable enough to do it themselves, but
And nor should you.
yeah,
If
and
you're, really use your own good judgment. You know what you can do and what you can't do. It shouldn't be, hey, watch this.
it's like hiring a real estate agent.
That's right. Well, but that's true. But then that's true. You need to know what your comfort zone is and what you're capable of.
Sure.
And if you're not capable, fire's to be respected.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about the meeting coming up, the seminar March 19th.
Right. It's at the Van Matry Senior Center right there in Cooper Park from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We are providing dinner, and so we are asking people to RSVP if they would, and they can do that by calling 1-877-297-4331, and that's our Arkansas Game and Fish Commission office, and they can call that, and we'll get them.
And who is this geared to?
I would say, first off, I'd probably say landowners who own a little bit of land that they're thinking about possibly doing that. But then, also
Pasture and timber?
right, basically, because you can burn both. But and then also just the general public who just maybe if you're somebody who's scared of fire or that type of stuff, you might that type of person might just get a little greater appreciation for it, and so.
And is this information available on the website?
It is.
And that's www.mhburnworkshop.eventbrite.com. Is that correct?
Right, and that's the link that they can actually click on and and actually you can RSVP on that link. So
But if you go to agfc.com, you'll find a link on that.
correct,
Yeah.
right,
That's a whole lot easier to
Thank
remember.
you very much. I was gonna say there's
agfc.com
got to
works
be a
for
better
me.
way than this.
Yeah.
right. And you just call that number, like I said, and we'll get you.
AFG, of course, is Arkansas Game and Fish. Probably
AGFC,
Google-
Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. That's correct. Yeah.
Right.
If you Google, more than likely, probably just Google Arkansas Game and Fish.
You
and
can
bring
just
it right
put AGFG in there and it'll pop right up.
AGFC. Speaking of which, here's a shameless plug
Yes,
for AGFC. March 11th is our 100th anniversary of the Arkansas Game and Fish
Really?
Commission. It's our
Wow.
centennial birthday. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So there's going to be events going on all over the state at all kinds of different facilities. We'll have a trout expo and derby and casting lessons and all that kind of stuff up at the Mammoth Spring Hatchery on Saturday the 11th. Is it the 11th?
Nice area.
Is that right? Yeah, the 11th. Yeah. So, and then Fred Berry's going to have some stuff going on, and the Ponca Elk Center, and all the different education and nature centers in around the state. So go to agfc.com and click that Centennial link and pick out something you
Take a
want to
look at
go
all the
to. Yeah.
events.
Cool.
If you want to learn to cast a fly line, come on up to Mammoth Spring. I'll be there with a bunch
That's
of fly
pretty Mammoth
rods.
Springs. I like that. A lot of fun at Mammoth Springs.
We have such great outdoor. I mean, the natural state is we are truly blessed with that. I mean, and you guys do a great, girls, do a great job of maintaining it and making it available for people. And
Well, we try.
I appreciate it.
Quick note just came in. Trinity Lutheran Church had to postpone their Lenten service from Wednesday. They will have it tonight at 6:30. They have a soup and sandwich supper from 5:30 to 6:15. So if you missed out on Trinity Lutheran Church Lenten service, you can join them tonight. 5:30 for a quick supper and 6:30 for the service.
There you go.
It's time for the Hannity update. We'll be right back. It's coming up on 7:53. Finishing up the program. Bob's here. You wanna
Yes, sir.
Give you a couple seconds to.
Just the market is picking up. Things are starting to move forward. The importance of being priced right and of being ready to sell. You know, I mean, you got to make that jump yourself that you want to be sold and you're going to move on with the next phase of your life. That's very important because it's going to help you to take a better offer. It's going to help you be motivated to go and to be priced right and to be sold.
Dennis and Ted, Arkansas Game and Fish.
One of the things I want to make sure everyone's aware of is we are holding a boating education class tomorrow at the shed, at the Veda Shed Center at the college. Of course, we're coming into boating season. When you look outside,
Yep.
the weather
Oh,
like
no,
we
it's
had the
gonna
last
be
few
here.
days,
It's gonna
too
be
many
here.
people aren't thinking
Boom.
of their boats, but we're there.
Yeah.
And so we're starting to crank up our schedule for boating education classes. We've got one tomorrow. Like I said, that starts at 9. Call me at my number, which is 870-321-5548 to register for that. We'll have another one coming up the 21st of the month in Cotter at the Youth Center there.
Okay.
So we'll that's also a Saturday, and we'll be
Yeah, 'cause
doing
the
that as
boats
well.
been out
And-
on the river.
Yep, and then we'll also run a few of them like a Monday, Tuesday night. Excuse me, but we may end up changing that to a hunter education because we had to cancel one because of the storms. So I need to catch one up, and we've got all the kids with the shooting sports programs need to have their hunter ed card. So,
Real quick, talk about anyone born after 1985 on the hunter and the boating.
well, for boating, anyone born after 1985 has to have a boating education card. It's kind of like your driver's license for a boat, and that requirement is after 1985, January 1st, 86 or later. And that's what this class is all about. It's to get that card. For hunting, it's 1968 or later.
Born in 1968 and later?
No, it's born in 1969.
Right,
Born in 69. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything after 68.
right. So either of those situations, you've got to have that card in order to legally hunt. Of course, I'm grandfathered, but I have the card. And what
But,
we're
I was gonna
finding
say,
is
but it wouldn't be a bad idea.
it's
to
great
go
information.
Anyway. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
great
Okay.
information, and it's surprising how many folks my age that have been hunting as many years as we all have, and they take the class and they come up to me afterwards
Wow.
and say, "Man, I'll tell you. I mean, I know you're not going to teach me a whole lot of hunting strategy, but you really gave me a lot of safety things to think about,
Right.
or ways to deal with kids when I'm trying to teach them about muzzle control, or." Of course, boating is the same thing as we get into a lot of the safety issues there. The number one, of course, is wear your PFD, wear your life jacket. Yeah, you bet. But anyway, a lot of information, and we're thrilled to have that. And please give me a call, 870-321-5548.
I believe the Knights of Columbus having a breakfast next week.
I believe they are, and I don't have the sheet with me, but if you know anything about Paul Bunyan, and if,
Fair warning.
Fair warning.
Sit across the room from Rick Williamson to avoid the sparks from his knife and fork.
and a great breakfast next week over at St. Peter's, the Fisherman Catholic Church, and come on by. Fill your they'll come by, they serve you. You don't even have to get up. You can sit down and
Enjoy
they'll bring it to
time
you.
with friends and
That's
family.
right.
It's a lot
That's
of
right.
fun. And everything that I had as a PSA has been changed because of the weather, so I'm waiting for updates on that. I'm waiting to find out about the Hackler Book Fair that they've had this past week that they didn't have this past week because missing so much school.
Things will change. Things
The
will
snow
change. You'll
has
get, you'll get
passed, the
updates.
sunlight
You'll
is
get
out,
up-
spring's
That's right.
around the corner.
It is truly around the corner. By the time you come back on Monday, none of this will be out here in the parking lot.
And it's going to be a lot warmer.
It'll be a lot warmer. And it's going to feel good.
That pretty well wraps it up. I want to plug Horse's Mouth for the next 2 Saturdays. We're talking about a very sensitive issue, human sex trafficking. It hits us here at home. So I invite you to tune in tomorrow at 4:30 and a week from Saturday at 4:30 on this delicate issue.
Yes, sir.
A lot of information. That wraps it up. We'll be back on Monday. It's the Rush Morning Update, followed by Glenn Beck. See you Monday.
Bye.